I want to talk about uh, non-selfish love. So basically, generally speaking, non-selfish love happens when you don't want something out of somebody or something even, right? That's when you know that it's pure because you're not doing it for an ulterior motive, whatever it may be. And the problem is that we have a lot of wants. We have a lot of desires, some of which are good, like desires of the heart, and those actually express themselves very freely. And they don't come attached with selfishness. And then we have selfish desires, which are based in ego and based in a want, and essentially something that you're trying to claw out of the world. Um, and it can feel as if you would make an exchange for it, as if you're taking it, perhaps. Um, and those require a good degree of manipulation to attain a lot of the times, unless you're natural at it. Um, but my point is that non-selfish love essentially is when you're just giving and you're engaging naturally, and there's truly just nothing there, and those are the nothing other than the act of doing it itself. And that means it's something that you enjoy interacting with that person, and that means that it's a good interaction. That means that something of value is being translated without you consciously even needing to try to do it. It's this type of, and again, it's very difficult to do because it can be difficult because in the world there's a lot of things at stake, a lot of things that we do need and want. And then we have our own psychologies and egos on top of that. So it's difficult. I don't deny that. And I'm not saying that non-selfish love is, the only good way to have a relationship, but it's the best way. But ego will creep into anything. It'll creep into whatever it is that you're doing. If you can attain something out of it, whatever relationship, if you can get something out of it, your ego will be aware of that, and it'll think about it and and it will end up co-opting it to some extent. It doesn't mean the thing is bad. Like if you can get what you want out of a relationship, whatever that may be, or a career path or whatever, and it is a love-based thing, your ego, but you can attain something materially or whatever, psychologically out of it, your ego will latch onto that. That's not bad. It just is. You just have to observe it, right? But ultimately, when you don't seek to gain materially or psychologically or whatever, when you're not essentially, when you're not actively trying to play to your own advantage, you're essentially or protect against losing your advantage, right? Both of which have to do with you, yourself. You're then operating in a non-selfish love capacity. And those are the real good relationships. And quite honestly, you feel them, you know them when you have them, you feel it. It's all known from the heart. And you may end up gaining things out of them. You certainly may. And again, your ego might get attracted by those and attached to those, and that's fine. Just be aware. But if the base is something non-selfish with respect to meaning it's something based in enjoyment, something based in instinct and spontaneity, that's good. And sometimes even the idea of manually focusing on the other person can be selfish because you're manually co-opting something to achieve an outcome of being selfless, and that's selfish. So it's very tricky, and there's no way to. My lights are on. Oh, oh, you know what? They're the default lights because the car is on. The battery is on. Thank you, though. Yeah, see, right there. That guy told me my lights are on, right? That's a non-selfish thing. He doesn't stand to gain from that. If you really were to think about it, like, if my car battery dies, then I'm stuck here, and then he might have to help me, which, no, but no one's thinking like that. You act on instinct. He's just telling me that to help me. That's it. That's a good interaction. So, and non-selfish love is, it can be personal, between people, it can be between groups, it can be between the world, honestly. I think so, at least. Again, even between in one-on-one relationships, it can get tricky. you know, distributed among large groups of people, especially billions of people, it gets even more tricky. But nonetheless, you know, we do it at a basic level, and if it comes from truth, then it's good, you know. And this is just another thing. I mean, when you simply operate with that natural state, like for example, I keep talking about him, but like Roger Federer, for example, he is a great, when he's there at the tournaments, like he's not doing anything really, you know, like besides playing, and then he'll say some words to the fans and stuff, and he'll be very nice and gracious, and he's not trying. There's no effort there with respect to anything in that regard, right? He's just playing the tennis and being himself, right? Now, on the other hand, and I don't mean this to be critical, I'm simply pointing it out, Djokovic, like, he'll blow kisses to the crowd, he'll do all sorts of stuff, and like sometimes he may speak a little nicer than seems normal, maybe, and then sometimes he'll speak more standing up for himself as well, like, you know. And again, he is himself, he's expressing himself how he wants to, but like he doesn't receive the love of the crowd and everything, you know. And there's a lot of reasons for it. One is that his game is not as aesthetic as Federer's, and another is that like he plays like a robot, and another is that he's a rival to Fed and Nadal. There's a lot of reasons, but some part of it too is that, you know, it's just a little bit less natural, you know. And when you're natural about these things and you naturally let them arise, then they come out very nicely and very authentically and very strongly and powerfully. So non-selfish love. Yeah. And good stuff comes out of it. This defeats the purpose of what I'm saying, but it's worthy of knowing as well that like you can make money off of non-selfish love, in the sense that if you have a good relationship with somebody, you can start a business together, and it'll be a trust-based relationship and everything, as long as you're aware that the ego doesn't co-opt that love and then turn it and then ruin that relationship because it's focused on money, right? I mean, there's actually a lot to get benefit and gain from in non-selfish love, but the paradox is that it has to truly be non-selfish love. You can't cheat the system, the spiritual system. You can cheat worldly systems, and as long as you don't get caught, and so long as the system doesn't implode because there's too many people cheating it. But you can't cheat spiritual law. You know, George Harrison said that there's an internal record that you have, or that God keeps on you, or something like that, right? Like internal, whatever it is, right? And basically, there's no escaping it. All things are there. All things are revealed. None of your actions are unaccounted for. None of your thoughts are unaccounted for. The deepest, you know, dashes of your heart are known. Yeah. So, as a result, yeah. So, being natural, that's really just the way. Being natural. And natural, non-selfish love naturally arises, and a very naturey thing. In a spiritual sense. It's a spiritually natural thing. So, anyway, that's what I gotta say. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to add quickly that non-selfish love has no goal, first of all. But if it were to have a goal, the goal would essentially be to see the highest goodness and the best thing for that person. And you can see that clearly, the other person. You can see that clearly because your own desire, your own personal wants, needs, whatever, are not interfering with the relationship. And then you can therefore help them in genuine ways when those ways arise. And there's no higher friendship than that. and there's no real, honestly, higher exchange of interaction of any type than that. To help that person or to see them find their highest goodness. There's nothing like it. I want to point out as well, finally, that this also means that non-selfish love does not mean that you're losing something, right? Or that you're giving anything up in any sense. I mean, if you were to look at it that way, from the fear standpoint of the losing stuff, the only thing that you would be losing is essentially probably what you don't need to begin with. Whatever your egoic needs and wants are, like whatever you're trying to manipulate out of a person, like that's what you do lose, so to speak. But it's not a real loss. That's the important thing. It's not a loss that's worth, for example, if I'm carrying like a bag like of garbage, right? And I need to give up that bag of garbage in order to, shake someone's hand and have a good interaction. Yeah, I do need to lose the garbage. No doubt. I need to wash my hands. Probably, but that's good. That's a good thing to lose. You shouldn't be carrying around garbage anyway. That's essentially what egoic desires essentially are. They're garbage. So, whatever you do lose is worth having lost. But the thing is that you don't even notice it. Again, it just sort of happens naturally. So, anyway, it's all about the nature. So